part of the reason that all of this happened was because it was a very maverick business at that time. There wasn't a lot of good paperwork going around. You know, the people were kids recording these songs, and in some cases the names weren't protected very well to begin with, which has led to the possibility of abuse at this stage of the game.
So I'm trying to visualize you. It's too bad we don't have a DVD or video.
Yeah, you definitely need the DVD of the Grease movie or the Sha Na Na TV show.
Senator King.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a pleasure to meet you, and I have to tell you one story. We watched one of your shows on TV. My daughter was about 2.5, 3 years old. The next day, she took a nap, and it seemed like a long nap. So we finally went in to check on her, and she came walking out with about 4 pounds of Vaseline on her hair. So anyway, took a while to get it out, but
Senator
thank you.
Honeyford. Well, we'll give her an autograph picture now and see if she still remembers this.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I wondered if staff had paid the copyright fees to play this.
Good point.
It was purchased.
Yes.
Thank you.
But to
If it's less than 1 minute, it's okay.
is that right?
I believe that's
It's probably true, too. Anyway, it's a copyright issue. This is a trademark issue.
Is Gretchen here yet?
She was parking the car. You know, Gretchen is the founder, one of the founders of the Fleetwoods, and she's literally local. She lives here in Olympia. You know, the Fleetwoods have not so much had this problem directly. The way in which it's impacted the Fleetwoods, as it's impacted many of the groups of the era, is that these multiple underpriced units of groups with phenomenal amounts of hits. I mean, the Coasters, Drifters, Platters, which is the most abused of the names, also had the most hits of the 50s, you know, of any groups. And the Platters had more hit records than any group before the Beatles. So, you know, what this does then is sort of dilute the marketplace and create a false marketplace, really, for groups like the Fleetwoods, who had not nearly so many hits, although wonderful records. Come Softly to Me, Mr. Blue, Tragedy, you know, several hits. Obviously, if you've got phony Coasters, Drifters, and Platters running around at absurd prices, because there's really nobody from the group in them, you can pay, you take 4 guys, pay them, you know, $200 a piece, stick them on a stage and call them the Platters. It creates difficulty for groups like the Fleetwoods as well. But first and foremost, the bill is a consumer bill to protect the public.
Thank you very much for being here. And if Gretchen arrives, perhaps we'll have time to bring her up. We do have Richard May, who signed in to testify as well. And I should note, too, that we have another group. Sit down. We have another group that is around occasionally that the Lieutenant Governor has brought in, the Ventures, which are still performing.
Yes, the Ventures.
They're still performing
Absolutely.
themselves. Thank you. Richard, go ahead.
Yes, hello. Hi, I'm a record producer and concert promoter.
Please identify yourself.
Richard May. And I think it's a great bill and does a great thing, and I'm very familiar with the abuses, particularly with the Coasters and Platters, et cetera. My only comment I just wanted to put to you was just the wording here of the civil penalty of at least $5,000, and I'm hoping that the greater language of this bill would make the scope of the penalty equal the scope of the production size and the commerce actually achieved by doing the offending thing, such as the difference between professionals doing this in an ongoing way with a large venue and a lot of money being made, as opposed to some novices doing this as some sort of a one-time thing and not being as aware of doing such an egregious thing. So I would certainly hope that there's that the penalty would reflect the scope of the commerce and the intentionality.
Thank you, Richard, for that information, and I'm sure Senator Kaiser will follow up on that. We do have one more individual signed up to testify, Gretchen Christopher of the Fleetwoods. Thank you for being here, and I'm sorry we are really running short on time.
Well, I've been trying to park since 1 o'clock.
Oh, God, that's terrible.
So I suppose
Sorry
I should
about
make this as quick as possible. I have not seen the bill this year. Can you?
Yeah, nothing's really changed. The bill is the bill, and we've really pretty much gone over it. I think you should just, you know, maybe add your what's happened to the Fleetwoods as a result of the imposter groups
Okay.
The proliferation of imposter groups has obviously affected your commerce.
Yes, it's taken, speaking for myself, I'm the founder of the Fleetwoods, the original female lead singer, the original songwriter of Come Softly, which became the #1 hit, Come Softly to Me, the arranger, the one who put it together in
I
Counterpoint.
love that song.
Thank you,
Sure we all
thank you. So now a resigned member of the group is out performing as the Fleetwoods, and he and I and a replacement had a contract saying that Gretchen Christopher, as manager of the Fleetwoods, shall have the sole authority to contract for the Fleetwoods. That's paraphrasing it. It actually says sole authority to bind the original and replacement Fleetwoods by contract for any performance commitments as manager deems appropriate to carry out the business of the Fleetwoods. So the problem is, well, the good part is that means that only I have the right to contract for the Fleetwoods, and that's good, you know, because I've choreographed an act. I brought the people together originally. We have done years and years of this. But now people are cropping up as the Fleetwoods. And I've found out because, for instance, a DJ phoned me and he said, I know from the television that you're performing in Vancouver and then the next night in Seattle. And I know because I saw it said the Fleetwoods, and so I'll finally get to meet you. So he was going to pay the $135 a ticket and come and finally be able to meet me. I said, I am not performing there. Well, how can that be? He says, you are the Fleetwoods. Well, they're imposters. They're taking not just my, first of all, they're deceiving the public. They're disappointing a lot of people, taking credit for my life's work, taking my income, my bookings, my applause. As an artist, it's important to be able to communicate with the audience whose hearts you have touched, for it's now 50 years. This is our 50th anniversary of Come Softly to Me and Mr. Blue being the #1 songs in the United States. Bringing little old Washington State, making us a capital of music for all over the world. But these, you know, that's so exciting. And John and I were together at the Vocal Group Hall of Fame. We Fleetwoods were being inducted. I don't know, had you already been inducted or?
Well, I'm really not a.
He's an
I
imposter.
function as the chair of the committee at the Vocal Group Hall of Fame. Sean and I's not even inducted. We're not
Okay.
even inductees. But the, you know, my function is, because I came at this in sort of a different way. I do Bowser's Rock and Roll Party and Bowser's Doo-Wop Party, and oftentimes have it as guests the original artists of this era. And I've watched you and other artists of this era struggle with this problem for so long, and at the same time, watched audiences just be mystified, having no idea what it is that they've paid, that their money has bought them. They don't know what they're even watching and listening to. So it's, I've watched the problem.
And I have addressed this to producers and promoters, and they say unless they have a court ruling, they're going to ignore it. Now, I don't want to sue my former partner. I don't want to go for the foot.
That's a whole other.
We're, it's wonderful having you here, and I'm
Thank
sure
you.
everybody here loved the music of the Fleetwoods, all of the songs, really wonderful songs. And unfortunately, we're running out of time, but I appreciate your being here, both of you, and it's great testimony, and I will likely not have opposition to the bill, but we'll work on that. Would you like to do one last doo-wop?
I'd like to do one.
With you?
Well, that when we, let's see, I promoted release of my solo album in Las Vegas a year ago, November. A month later, it was declared as one of the Billboard Critics' picks for 10 best albums of the year. It includes a remake of Come Softly a cappella, as we first performed it, and Come Softly to Me, the hit arrangement, and Graduations Here, which we also wrote. But the same night that we were performing in Las Vegas, headlined by the Fleetwoods starring Gretchen Christopher, was the way that they chose to advertise it. I found on the net that the supposed Fleetwoods were performing in Portland, Oregon.
Yes,
Go figure. I'm so glad that you have this bill, that John is promoting this all over the country, and I do hope it's very important that it say in there the last I remember, it said it was not legal for somebody to promote the name of a group unless at least one original member, recording
That's
member,
right.
was in that group who had the right to use the name. That is key.
And that's what's in the bill.
Who
Thank you
has
both
the right.
very much for
Well,
being
I would say, bum, 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 dang, 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 ding, 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 thank you.